For Griswold High School sports and your home for local news and weather, broadcasting from Main Street in the borough of Jewett City, the streaming news and sports network, SNSN.
This is your local weather forecast on SNSN Internet Radio. Mostly sunny skies today. Temps warming up to about 42 degrees and a light wind coming from the northwest, 6 to 11 miles per hour. But it could get a little windy with wind gusts as high as 22. For tonight, mostly clear skies. Chilly, though, low around 20 degrees. And sunny skies for Saturday, but chilly. Temps only getting up to about 29 degrees on Saturday.
Mario Speedwagon. Pat Benatar. Metallica. Streaming live.
SNSN.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock straight up on a Friday morning. And what do we do every Friday morning here on SNSN Internet Radio? It's After Breakfast, where we talk about, well, not your everyday stuff, but some subject matter that's hopefully relevant to you and to others. We have myself, Mike Minarski. We have Jim Barney, who's off camera somewhere. You all right?
Yeah.
And Paul Ash that has coffee coming out his nose.
Yeah.
What was that? You all right?
The way you said it.
Oh.
Made me laugh.
I didn't think it was that funny. Jim, are you here? Oh, there he is. There's Jim's head. Jim, you don't look too happy today. You do not look happy at all.
Well,
tell us why you're not happy.
Did you give me anything to be happy about?
Why? Because I don't want to talk about politics? Is that why? Is that why you're upset?
I'm not upset.
You are disappointed.
Hello there.
To some degree.
Well, tell me, please. I really want to know.
Move on.
I just think I think people are just tired of the politics.
I absolutely agree with you.
I
haven't watched any of the political crap that's been on TV for way over a month. Totally detuned from it.
Yeah. There is one thing you wanted to talk about.
What was that?
You're talking about the act in New York that they're trying to push through, which that's not political. That's just something that they're trying to do in New York.
Well, the New York Assembly and the Senate also, and I don't remember the Senate bill number, but A416 is a bill that they're trying to pass that will basically grant power to the governor or any of his designees, including the local health inspector, to basically, they didn't use the word, but I'm going to use the word, incarcerate you if you have an illness that they feel is detrimental to the health and well-being of the general populace. Okay.
Wow. So in other words, if you have COVID and you're not doing anything about it, not getting the shot, then you could possibly go to one of these. They want to have the ability to kind of quarantine you away somewhere.
Yeah,
like in a FEMA camp.
It put you in a medical facility or other.
They'll send you off to an
or other. And I think the or other is the key word there, as I mentioned to you, FEMA camp when I first walked in here this morning. Okay. A lot of people think FEMA camps are a big conspiracy theory. I don't think that's the case.
Isn't New York kind of wide open anyway? I mean, there's people walking around. You look at,
I don't think that they are. I think they have pretty much the same executive orders that we do.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people walking around outside, I'll tell you. Look at, the main street there. It's
a lot of people there.
A lot of people there.
Well, there's an awful lot of
keep them caged up.
There's an awful lot of people that have left New York City. I mean, tens of thousands, apparently.
Oh, left. Yeah.
They're moving north.
They're moving up this way.
Yeah, look at the real estate that's going on around here, which is kind of one of the things that I want to approach this morning.
Yeah, not only from New York, but from Boston as well, coming this way. That's why our real estate market is
the real estate market is way up.
Now, that's part of the reason why Arizona possibly went left.
Because of people moving there.
Yeah, people are moving
Snowbirds?
from California. If you want to rent a moving truck from California to Texas, it's like $2,400. If you want to come from Texas to California, it's about $1,200.
Yeah, nobody wants to.
Nobody
go to
wants to
California.
go there.
Nobody wants to go to. I wouldn't go to. I mean, there was one time I would love to live in California. Believe me, when I was younger, I wouldn't live in California today if they paid me to go there. You know, no way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people.
I have no desire to.
I
move
think
to
a lot of people
California
feel the
for any
same
reason.
way. I mean, have I been in California? Yeah, but.
Well, one of the articles I read over the weekend is turning out to be much of what I've said about Massachusetts. 30 years ago or more, the people in Massachusetts were sick of it. Okay, so they started moving to New Hampshire in droves. They got there, and what'd they do? They turned southern New Hampshire into mini Massachusetts. Okay.
Yeah.
And these people that are sick of the extreme left cities are moving out. But as soon as they get to the new place, they want all the same crap that they had in New York City that they're running away
I
from.
would think that a lot of people were going from Massachusetts up to New Hampshire because of the tax rate.
So yeah,
that was
plus,
that was some of it, but I
No
mean,
sales tax at all in New Hampshire.
No, but the real estate tax is pretty high up there.
a lot of people who live in New Hampshire actually work in Boston.
Yep.
If you ever drive, because I used to drive to New Hampshire a lot when I was working for the company,
Mhm.
and 93, which comes out of Manchester, would be bumper to bumper people going into Boston.
Yeah.
Because that was their work. That's where they worked.
Yeah.
It's only from Boston. It's a real short distance between Manchester and the surrounding towns to go to Boston. So that's where they all went.
So, anyways, this A416, coming from New York. Hey, New York, Connecticut's just across the border.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how.
Well, it's got to be further because let's face it, if you're coming from New York and you're going to go into Greenwich, you got to have a few bucks in your pocket. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You just can't go buy a house in Greenwich because let's face
Darien,
it,
New Canaan, Stamford,
No,
those houses are like the size of Jewett City.
Fairfield County.
The implication I was making is if they pass, basically martial medical law,
They're going to leave.
it'll come across the border.
Well, and we all said this, that a lot of those big buildings in New York where people are working out of are going to go vacant because everybody's working from home.
Yep.
We know that's coming,
I've been saying that since the beginning of
Oh,
this whole thing.
It's going to happen. I mean, what are they going to do with all that real estate?
Well, look at Hartford, for example. The
Insurance companies.
the insurance capital of the country, or possibly even the world.
Yeah.
There's all those buildings there that are housing insurance agents and administration teams, and they're finding that the people that work for these companies are just as productive home in working electronically remote. So now you have all these companies now, for example, they're saving money on of course their real estate, right? But is your insurance going down? No. And they're being, like I said, sometimes they're even more productive.
Yeah, I think people are more productive when they work from home than they are in the office. I really do.
I think it depends on the person.
If you got to screw off in the office, and most people that work from home, sorry.
Right, but the point I was trying to make is that I think you're going to find that a lot of these big buildings are going to eventually be vacated.
Yeah, I agree.
And then what happens? Stacked housing. There you go.
That's about it. And why would you want to? Why would you want to?
Yeah.
Why would you want to live in one of those big low office buildings when you don't even work there?
Right.
What are you going to do? Travel from New York to Connecticut to work or some other place? I mean, I don't think so.
Well, it's like my grandson and his company. It's a small company located in Massachusetts. They were going to have everybody start to come back in, and there was enough pushback that they decided not to do that yet. And in fact, their lease is up on the building, I think, in September, and now they're thinking about whether they're going to renew the lease or not.
Yeah. When I was working from home, it was not really company policy to allow you to work from home. I had a special situation where the boss let me do it. However, now they're all working from home.
Yeah.
So they're
Well, it's not a necessity now.
Yeah.
Well, so the
it's-
company's got to
and-
find a way to continue to be productive.
and yeah,
I'll debate the necessity of it, but that's another point.
yeah, but still, it's-
Whatever it is, Jim. The thing is that they have to follow these executive orders, and now they're pushed into it. And what they're finding is that it is a lot more economical
absolutely.
than if. Even look at the schools. Even look at the schools. They're spending less money because the kids.
Lights are not on.
Right, they had a surplus last year. They're going to have a surplus this year.
Sure, yeah.
So what's going to happen with the budget? Are they going to say we're going to need another increase, or
Why do you say that there's going to be a surplus in the school budget?
because they're not spending anything when it comes to like energy cost? As far as lighting.
I mean, you can
that
keep the
stuff-
heat down.
Yeah,
Turn the
there's-
heat up to 72. You can keep it at 50.
Yeah, you can keep it at 50. That's
Yeah.
sure. That's
You know,
that's
But they
lights
did.
are-
They had a surplus
but-
last year.
But
All the
when you-
lights aren't on.
But when you look at the fixed cost,
Oh, they're all fixed
okay,
costs.
when you look
yes.
at the fixed costs, okay, the reduction in the heat and the reduction in lighting is probably not that great. But when you look at the overall costs, the reduction in heat and light is going to be insignificant compared to the salaries.
I don't know. Look at the
No.
budget last year, Jim. Compared to what they spent, it was significant. It was a significant savings.
What about the buses? They pay for the, if
Yeah.
you're not using the buses.
Yeah, that's all part of that budget.
Are we
I mean,
paying
Well,
that or what?
Well, we'll see what it is
Yeah,
coming in.
I mean, there's got to be some savings.
I'm not saying there's not some savings.
There's got to be some savings to the town too. Some of the town buildings.
So we would love to have your comments. If you're in the room and you
Yeah.
want to comment on what the conversation is, we'd love to know what you think. Cindy just puts in telecommuting also gives employers a wider recruiting pool since a potential employee
That's true.
where they live, their location isn't generally an issue. Now, that you're right, I agree with you, and I agree with Cindy, and I even know somebody who is a consultant, and he consults with the banks. Matter of fact, he lives in Killingly, and he was working and commuting back and forth to Rhode Island.
Mhm.
Then he started working at home. Well, he switched jobs to a company that lives now in South Carolina. He'll have to do some traveling maybe once or twice per month down there,
That's not
but he doesn't have to go. He's
Yeah,
he's
stays right
everything is
here.
going to be done
here.
through email, teleconferencing, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So what kind of a savings is that? Is that gonna mean that people are going to get higher salaries?
No.
No. It's another way of
Well, yeah,
porking the
people-
bottom line. a
Yeah,
little
people
bit.
saving money because you don't have the commuting charges of gas and everything else that you
Mhm.
get, wear and tear on your vehicle, and even during a snowstorm, people wouldn't go into work
Yeah, the
because
insurance company asks you how far do you drive to work? 0 miles.
Yeah,
Because your insurance.
Well, Mike made the comment a few minutes ago about stacking the buildings with, residents. I mean, that's the long-term goal. They if you look at Agenda 21, Agenda 30, that's the goal. One of the goals is to turn much of the suburbs back into wildland.
So let's talk about we get into real estate and large companies scaling down their building usage and stuff. What about residential? Now, Jim, you are a property owner, multiple property owner. Has the pandemic affected you as far as you collecting rent from people?
Absolutely.
Okay. Has it? I mean, really a lot, or just like a few people here and there, or? I mean, I don't know how
No,
many
I-
rentals you have. I know you
I-
have a few. You have a bunch. but-
I've been relatively fortunate. I have 3 tenants that are struggling. Two of them have been, I would say, real cooperative. One of them even went and took a loan to catch up on their
Mhm.
rent. Okay. So, I mean that I'm still down a lot of income.
Sure.
Okay. My taxes don't go down.
Mhm.
My fixed costs don't go down. The bottom line is what goes down.
Do you think eventually the government will make up the differences? I mean, it's
No.
going to be tough for these renters to come back up and pay back.
That's lost income, I would think.
You think it's lost income? Well, they haven't said the income is that the rent's been written off. I know they're looking.
Well, they've extended the moratorium on where you can't get evicted. So I'm
No, I
wondering.
agree that, but what a lot of folks are beating and looking into Hartford is they want to see the rent washed away and the back rent. That's what they're looking to do. Hasn't been done yet. This money is still owed to the landlord.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. And I have no feeling and no confidence one way or another whether we will ever see that money. I mean, I know that the likelihood of at least one and possibly at least two and maybe all three of my tenants that are behind will not probably be able to make it up.
So what happens, on a business standpoint? I mean, or, from a business perspective, I guess. I mean, do you, I don't even want to ask you that question because I don't think that's relevant. It's relevant to but it also kind of brings out some of your personal stuff that I don't want to get into, as far as how you would personally handle business. I don't think that's relevant to.
Well, I mean, I have made my tenants aware of potential help that they can get, and let's see, at least one of them was able to take advantage of it. The other two, by the time we all became aware of it, it was already oversubscribed, so they were not able to get into that program.
Mhm.
And that was a very limited program. That was the maximum was $4,000 per.
You talking about rental assistance?
Yeah. The maximum was $4,000, and I have tenants that owe me more than $4,000.
Yeah.
This is Cindy, who works in this business. Matter of fact, she works in real estate and rental properties. Most states have an interim rental assistance program, basically what you were talking about, but the renters need to apply for it. Again, what you talked about. Her company, they've been able to help the residents get the assistance on many occasions during the pandemic. So
I would think that from our landlord's perspective, the only thing they're helping with by not getting the rent is their taxes reduction because their income is lower. So you're not,
or can you write that off as a tax loss, or as a?
Well, I'm
as a
not.
loss?
It's not really a tax loss.
Because
It's
you
an,
haven't
it's
collected
an
anything.
it's an income loss. Okay, but that what if you're losing income, what good does that do you?
Well,
Okay, you're paying less taxes,
That's the
but you're still losing. Depending on your bracket, you're losing 2/3 of your income.
Yeah, it doesn't make up for what you've lost in income.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I remember hearing people talking about, oh, I didn't work any overtime the last month of the year because it would have put me in a different tax bracket. Well, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is SNSN Internet Radio. It's After Breakfast on a Friday morning. Myself, Mike Minarski, Jim Barney, who we've been talking to mainly about the rental property / income, and of course Paul Ash will be here till about 11 o'clock this morning, talking about various subjects. But one of the things I did want to talk about is what we are talking about right now, and that's landlord versus tenants versus landlords. Now, Jim, I want to ask you a question. Is it fair to say that landlords do not have a lot of leverage when it comes to being a landlord and what their properties are and what the tenants actually do?
You're absolutely correct. We have almost zero leverage, and right now I would say we have zero leverage. Okay,
Right, because you can't evict anybody.
Can't evict anybody.
I
mean, fortunately, my tenants and myself, we have a very a good relationship. Okay,
yeah, you've said that before. That, that you're fairly lucky.
No, it's more than just luck.
Yeah.
Okay, we screen tenants carefully.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to being a landlord, like from what I understand, and correct me please, because I don't know. Really, the only thing that they have to provide is lighted walkways and running water and good plumbing. Is that or
No, it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
I mean, I believe, I mean, we supply full appliances. I mean, we don't supply washers and dryers. Okay.
no? I'm just talking about like utilities. What you have to what you have to supply. I'm not talking about utilities or like washers, dryers, fridges, stoves, anything like that.
Well, we don't supply electric.
Right.
Okay.
Water?
And we don't supply water.
Okay.
Right.
We have to pay the sewage, because that's just the way it's set up. If you don't, if you don't pay the sewage, then the municipality can put a lien against the property.
Right. I guess the question is though is that if there's not proper running water to a unit, that lies on you, not the tenant,
Um,
as well as
It- it-
lighted walkways in multiple multiple unit facilities.
I will speak to the condominiums because we don't have much single families that we rent on. Okay.
Mhm.
The water, would be our responsibility from the shut off into the house. Okay. If something went wrong, a pipe broke there, that's on us.
That's what I meant.
Okay, that's on us.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Not the actual service where
No.
where you're not liable for paying for the water.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the mechanics of it to make sure.
the
Yeah.
mechanics of
And,
it.
and the good thing going for tenants right now is they cannot be shut off for either electric or water.
That is not
because-
true.
What do you mean that's not
That
true?
is not true. That's only EverSource.
Jewett City shuts you off?
Yes.
I thought Jewett City didn't do that.
Jewett City DPU will shut you off.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm not taking either side of that, but the comment I would make is that anyone that is not paying their bill, the rest of you are picking up that portion of the bill. I mean,
Yeah.
Jewett City Electric needs certain amounts of income to supply the electricity. Okay.
See,
Uh,
that's the one thing that a lot of commercial customers make up a lot of the bill. They get their big money from commercial customers. I don't know how many commercial customers Jewett City has, but it's not a hell of a lot.
No, it's not.
So most of it's resident. I know whatever source, they make their money from commercial customers. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
These
I
big
mean, I
manufacturing
think-
companies, but the residence is just another add-on.
I
But
mean, by far, the school is the biggest customer for Jewett City.
Yeah.
And in fact, the schools are actually outside of the borough. I mean, there's an
Yeah.
arrangement.
Right.
that-
Right.
but it's still
There's an
Jewett City,
arrangement
yeah.
whereby they were allowed to supply the electricity to the schools, because if they didn't,
Yeah.
the electric rates probably for the townspeople would
Yeah.
be double what they are.
Which is why I don't understand how Jewett City Water is going to get away with raising their rates by 27%.
Because they're a private company.
Still during the
Same thing with
pandemic.
JCDPU.
During the pandemic, why, if they're hounding other companies not to be able to charge stuff, why are they letting Jewett City fly through?
I think it's because, and Jim, maybe you can caveat this, but I think number one, because companies like EverSource, UI, they're publicly traded,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah.
okay.
And they're controlled more. I agree.
But Norwich Department of Public Utilities, Jewett City Department of Public Utilities, they are not public. I mean, they're not private. I mean, they are private companies.
Yeah. I mean,
So
Well, that raises an interesting question. Are they under the umbrella of Pura?
yes,
Okay.
they are under the umbrella because
are we talking the water company or the
water
electric?
company. The water
Right.
company. They're
Well,
under
what,
Pure.
what about the electric company? The electric company too, I would think.
They're under that one agreement, CMAC.
Yeah, yeah.
They're under
But isn't
CMAC.
CMAC also,
I'm not sure. I don't think CMAC is controlled by Pura.
no?
I don't believe so.
Well, it's a it's a public utility, even though it's private.
Yeah, because there's several included, Norwich, Bosworth, Jewett City. They're all part of CMAC.
Yeah, there are about 6 or 7 of them.
6 or 7 of them. Yeah, but
I think one of the
but
Stonington
Jewett City,
boroughs.
there's 10 water companies in the state of Connecticut. They're Pura. Yeah, but I'm just surprised that. I mean, I can understand that Jewett City Water probably needs an increase. They haven't had one since 2011. However,
Jewett City Water hasn't had one since 2011?
that's what they claim. They haven't had an increase since 2011.
I don't know about that.
I
That's
would
what they claimed on their
I would question that.
well, that's what they claimed on their 2011. So I'm just a little surprised that they couldn't have held off for just a little longer till we get through this. Maybe into the early spring or early summer before they decided to do this. They're talking about almost a $20 increase per bill for the average homeowner. That's a lot of money right now, especially when people are hurting,
Mhm.
you know.
Right.
So, but well, hopefully Pura will, take some of that stuff into consideration when they do it.
So where does that set, as far as, the electric company and shutting people off?
Yeah, that surprises me. I thought Jewett City was part of that, but I guess I was wrong. I guess I didn't realize that.
And again, there may be classes of people, even in Jewett City, that aren't shut off. I don't know, Paul.
Yeah. I know.
I don't know what the numbers are, and I haven't been attending Jewett City DPU
Yeah, I don't
monthly
know.
meetly recently.
I know if you don't pay your bill within 25 days, they charge you interest.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know if they have a shut off policy or not. I don't know.
Which one,
But-
JCDPU?
Well,
Yeah, Jewett
They
City.
do.
they
do.
have a shut off policy.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
You on JCDPU?
Yeah.
Well, don't pay your bill. And you'll find out.
Find out quick.
That's okay.
I know somebody that got shut off.
Yeah.
That's why. That's
Oh,
why.
you do? Okay.
So I
You would think that they would consider it too, because again,
and I called and asked a question because I thought the same thing you guys did.
Yeah.
But they're
I mean, this is tough times for everybody. So
and I do believe that they have a period when they can't shut you off.
well, that's now.
JCDPU.
That's now.
only if you have electric heat,
Only if you have electric heat.
I believe. Yeah.
Oh.
If you don't have electric heat, then that November through March period, I don't
Well,
think.
what good is that? Because if you have oil heat, you still need electric.
Well, we're sitting. Well, that's a good point, Paul. Yeah. Or even if you got gas heat,
Still need heat. You
you
still
need
need electric.
electricity. Yeah. But that's a good point.
I mean, electric heat's very expensive during wintertime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why people who are electric heat ought to consider, budget. They probably go on some kind of a budget where you pay all year round.
Do you consider Atlantic Broadband a utility?
I don't consider it a necessary utility.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you still have in this area, you have a choice because you can still go to Frontier,
Mhm.
but it's not the entire town of Griswold.
See, I looked into.
I don't know whether these numbers are still valid because these were calculations I did a long time ago. But when I was building my retirement home in Plymouth, Mass,
Mhm.
I normalized the cost to one for if I heated by oil.
Yeah.
And if I heated by propane, it was going to be about 1.8 times as much. And if I heated it by electric, it was 2.3 times as much.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't think electric is right now is really economical at all.
I don't think it ever was. It's
No.
very expensive.
and it's going to become less economical.
Oh yeah.
Because the greenies, they want to do away with coal. They want to do away with oil.
Yeah.
They've already practically killed the nuclear industry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They want to be solar and electric. Okay. Now, I don't remember the article that I read, but it made a pretty strong case that there is, with all of some of these people want to go totally to electric vehicles. And this would probably not be that difficult a calculation to do. I haven't done it. But you calculate the amount of oil that is being burnt annually, or take all the carbon fuels, oil, gas, nuclear is not carbon, but include that because they want to kill nuclear totally also.
Yeah.
Look at all of the trillions of megawatts that are generated, and then try and figure out how much of that you could replace with wind and solar. And it's going to be a huge shortfall.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how. I mean, to put solar around here, it's not for the everyday person. If you've got trees in your yard, which everybody has trees in the yard, it's pretty hard to put in solar.
Well, if you recall, a few years ago when we were doing solar here, I was on that solar committee.
Yeah.
And I looked at it from my own house, and I ultimately made the decision not to do it on my house for a couple of reasons. I have trees both to the east and to the west and to the south, but the ones that was on the southern side were far enough away that it wouldn't have a huge impact on my solar generation. Okay. But the other reason was the payback period was probably 8 to 9 years. And I didn't know whether I was going to be alive in 8 or 9 years. And when you look at the cost of money, you factor that in.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good decision for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem today with living in New England. Trees, happen like we're not
As far as solar is concerned.
solar's concerned. We're not out on the Texas plains. We're not in Arizona where everything's flat. The sun's out, constantly. You get cloudy days during the wintertime here. You're not generating crap.
What about?
Well, here's another aspect. I mean, you take the trees down, and now you're going to increase the CO2. I mean, the CO2, the trees suck up a tremendous amount of CO2.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember doing a calculation a few years ago about all the tree cutting that was going along 395, just as one thing.
Yeah.
And to not have a few trees fall on the highway during a storm, is it worth the
And you can tell because if you drive during early fall, you'll see that a lot of the trees along the highway have turned color already because of what you just said. You know what I'm saying? Because of the exhaust coming off the cars, they make the trees turn faster.
I had no knowledge of that.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Mike. You were trying to get something in there a couple of times.
Yeah, I forget what the hell I was going to say.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you start to take and lose the brain cells.
I have no idea.
And you started losing those when you were about 17,
16.
16.
Maybe at birth. I don't know. I just, I think there's a there's a gentleman in here that is a landlord, and I'm only assuming this, but he said when it gets, comes down to, being a landlord right now in this climate, he said, yeah, the landlords are getting robbed.
Yeah. It's a taking of your property without due compensation.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've said the same thing about zoning for many, many years.
Can you, as a landlord or small business owner, this really is what you are, can you apply for pandemic money?
Possibly, Mike. I don't know. It to me, I just.
I know one local business got almost $30,000.
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago there was a business that got 13 million or something, and now the government's trying to claw it back from them because there was some shenanigans that went on there. Now, it wasn't local, but I mean, I owned property back in the mid 70s. Okay, it drove me absolutely nuts. I would not be a landlord other than the fact that there was no other way to supplement my income because the money that's sitting in a savings account or bonds or anything else, what are you getting? 0.05% on your money if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 years ago, if you had $100,000, you could get 7%, safe on a CD or something. That's $7,000 on to help you pay your medical, your grocery bills. Now, what are you going to get on $100,000? I mean, if it was 1%, you'd get 1,000. A 0.5% would be 5. I mean, it's measured in dollars.
Yeah.
It's measured in dollars. I mean, that's killing many of the retired because they saved some money thinking they were going to get some earnings off of that. And that was going to supplement their Social Security because not very many people can survive on Social Security alone.
No.
True.
Okay.
I would think that you could get some pandemic money, whether it's a PPP loan or a grant.
You got to be pretty careful because I know some people that have gotten it and they're having to pay it back and different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because don't forget, it's still income owed that he's allowed. He's not been written off yet. So.
And the other question now that we're talking about that comes to mind, and I don't know the answer is, that money is probably taxable money.
Oh yeah, probably is. It's a good point. Yeah.
Well, there's two different things.
And if there are loans or stuff that are forgiven, that's income. You got to pay the
Yeah,
taxes
you
on
gotta pay
that,
Taxes on that.
even though,
Yeah, that's a good point.
For both PPP loans and grants?
I don't know the answers. You're way over my head with with it.
It's over my head. That's why I asked the question.
Because I just
don't
had no
so.
interest in it, haven't looked at it.
Maybe Cindy, if you're still there, you might know the answer to that question. You know, are grants considered income as well? Because I know with the PPP loans, I knew somebody that made one payment and boom, they got an email saying it was all forgiven.
I don't know, grants? We get a couple grants here in the town. I don't think we ever paid any kind of tax on those grants to the
Capital
government.
gains tax or anything?
Well,
Or-
the town isn't a taxable entity, and that's in that respect, anyways.
I don't think so. It's hard to believe. Most grants, a lot of charitable organizations get grants and things like that. Maybe some small businesses, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I would think a grant would not be taxable, but that's just me.
I would think no, but
Yeah.
you know, if I was to just kind of throw out an answer of what I thought,
Everybody wants to go after grants.
I mean, I don't know the answer. You'd have to talk to a CPA or something,
Yeah.
but I would suspect that there's no tax implications to a nonprofit or to a municipality. But I would think as an individual, if you got a grant, I don't know. I would think that could conceivably be
I don't know.
taxable. But again, I have no knowledge of it.
I don't either. Does anybody know?
I'm sure somebody out there knows.
Somebody knows. We are live on Facebook on the SNSN app, streaming live with the audio, and we're also live on YouTube as well now.
Uh-huh.
We're all over the place.
Well,
Jimmy, we're all over.
They'll shut us down.
Well, we're not talking anything bad.
Yeah, we got
certainly
shut
have.
down 1 week. So here's a question I want to ask you, Jim, because I think you would know the answer to this. So we're in a rent to own situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the agreement that we had when we signed the lease was that we were going to go ahead and we would pay the mortgage / insurance and whatever it came up to be. You know, it was a fixed cost every single month. After we signed the lease, it went up by like $10 because they had to get different insurance because they were no longer owner occupied.
Yep.
Okay. So the insurance went up. If you look at on the ledger of the what do you call it? Escrow. It shows it was charged twice. One for like $2,100 and one for like $23 and change. It was like $150 difference between the two policies. On New Year's Day, we got a phone call saying that our payment was going to go from $1,550 to $1,808. And it had to be paid that month, meaning that day. As a landlord, can you legally do that?
This came from your landlord?
Yes. No notice. It said had to be paid now.
I don't. You'd have to look at how your lease was
Okay.
how your lease was written.
Okay. I didn't know if there was any legality to we had to give somebody a 30-day notice.
I would think that if you've got a contract with a fixed price in it, I don't think they can raise it unless you change the lease.
Okay.
I would think.
Well, it says in the lease that it can only be redetermined or rediscussed at on the first day of October.
So you said it went up $150 a month.
250
$250 a month.
from $1,550 to $1,800. And here's
That's got to be the total premium. That's not the monthly premium.
Exactly. See, here's what happened.
So you should only should only be paying the incremental difference between what it was and what it went to, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you seem to share the opinion of many people. But what we were told by them is, because this is what happened, is instead of just prorating the policies, they got a check back for the initial policy. And then they kept it.
Of which you paid.
Now they want us to pay. See, what happened is it drained the escrow because they didn't roll it back in. So now there's our $250. So they took money. They took the insurance money. They didn't roll it back into escrow. They just kept it.
So it's the bank that's looking for
Yes.
the payment.
So the bank's looking for it. So that moves up to $250 because the escrow has to be replaced.
Mhm.
So they're passing that along to us.
Have you had a discussion with them on it?
Oh yeah, they don't want to talk about it.
I would.
They don't want to talk about it. Not at all. Talk to I've had some legal discussions, about it, but they don't want to talk about it.
So what's the legal opinion?
We don't have to do anything because it says on line 3 of the lease that you're paying, it can only be readjusted on October 1st.
Mhm.
He said, however, if you want to go ahead and keep the peace, what you should do is, if you can, he said, or they said, pay the 1808. But the difference that you're paying now, use that as tell them that they should give you consideration towards the purchase price of the house. In other words, if it's 10 months, $2,500.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
I guess one of the questions is how good a deal you have and how much do you care whether you end up getting the house, and do you want to you could say, or they could say, well, we're not gonna take an honor this agreement because you didn't honor what they're saying, and
We are honoring it. That's the thing.
It's because again, it depends on how much you really want the house.
There's
And you don't have to answer that on the air.
well, an attorney actually wrote the lease, and the attorney, put in there, of course, and we all agreed to it that it can't be adjusted until October.
Yep.
So that's one thing.
Yep.
The deal works out good for both of us, them and us. The problem is that I believe that, and other people believe that I won't get into, on the air, but that insurance money that they received should have been rolled back into escrow.
It sounds without looking at the details, it sounds like you're correct, but the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking about 10 months at $250. You're talking about $2,500. Do you want to blow the option to rent to own for $2,500? That's the bottom line.
But it's also in the lease too that we have the right to buy the house at the payoff price, and it's also in the land records as well.
Yeah.
And we have a 2-year lease.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you wanted to go ahead and buy that house, Jim, we come along with it, and you can't sell it because we have a lease.
Yep.
And if you do, it has to be to us and for the terms that we signed up for.
Again, the bottom line is, I mean, $2,500 sounds like a lot of money, but if you get into a protracted legal battle, $2,500 is going to look like buying a Coke.
Cindy just said, and now this is what she does for a living.
Yep.
Leases and rental agreements and tenants and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. She just said, oh, I've looked at the details and this was money that 100% should have been repaid to the escrow.
Mhm. And I think we agreed with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that's what she said as well.
But Jim makes a good point, though. I mean, you're going to fight it for $2,500.
We're doing exactly what we said we were going to do.
Yeah, but the owner can do whatever they want also. You can ultimately win if you get the resources to take and carry it all the way through. Is it worth it?
Oh, we'll win. We'll win.
Mhm.
I don't have any. I pick my battles. Canterbury, we left because of whatever. It just was not a good battle to fight.
Mhm.
We had nothing, we had no iron in the fire there. We had no meat at stake. Here we do.
Mhm.
So, I think the other thing too is it's a matter of if they will take advantage this way, what else will they do? So, for example, if this is the case and they want to go ahead and take a loan out against the property, they take a home equity loan out. Do they now take that and pass that along to us too? Because
Can they really do that?
No.
that's my point. That's my point. And I told him that too. I said, you can't just, do what you want to do and then pass whatever payments over to us. I said, that's not how you do business.
Are these just people who really don't have a clue about a lot of this? Is that basically what it is?
I don't think they understand it. No.
Yeah.
Are they good people? Yes. They're very good people.
Yep.
I think they're concerned and they are worried and I think they're reacting as such. Do I think they're vindictive people? No. Do I think they're been a little misled? Yes.
They probably don't have the money to roll back in.
I think they took the money because they didn't have any money and they used that to live off of.
Right.
And then they were told it was their money. They could do whatever they want with it. And, then he said to me, he goes, well, you're building up your insurance, as a homeowner stuff, but that's just it. I don't own the home.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay, homeowners insurance and rental insurance, just because you decide you wanted to keep the $2,200 check.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that would hold up in any court of law. It's just common sense.
I guess if it was me, Mike, I would try and reclaim the $2,500 at the closing.
There you go. Now, see, that's exactly what the attorney suggested we do, is that this money, pay it if you can, and, have that money be taken into consideration towards the purchase price of the house or whatever.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. See, said the same thing. Now, I trust your opinion, Jim. I ask you questions.
That's the first mistake.
It's not true. You know it.
It is true.
No,
it's only an opinion, Mike.
Yeah, but you know what, Jim? I know where your opinions come from. And I don't think you've ever given me horse shit opinions just to be that way at all. So I do trust you. On the air and off the air. What?
This is dead.
That is?
Yeah. You got a switch off?
No, I didn't touch anything. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's that thing. Did it just go dead?
No, it's probably. I'm not sure. No, I think I'm just hearing you there. I don't think. Maybe these are no good.
I don't know.
Christmas is on.
Chris was using them,
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had anybody talking other than you, and I'm hearing you from. I mean,
what are you saying, Jim?
I mean, from the outside. Okay, so I'm hearing you just.
Yeah.
Whether I have these off or not.
Hold on. Let me see those. I'll say so.
Oh, hello.
No, not working. It's not them.
Don't worry about it. I don't need them. Don't worry about it.
Those are, we haven't taken any calls, so.
Yeah.
These were great.
Well, I used to use those until you rearrange the whole studio.
Yeah. These are really good. These cost me like $50-$60, and they've been awesome. You just take a look and see if they work. Maybe we'll get a rogue caller, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
Those work?
Yeah.
See, there you go.
These are no good. These are old ones. These are old ones.
Yeah, those are what? Those?
Yeah, those are.
What are they? Those are Sennheisers. Those are actually an expensive.
Well, we beat that. We beat that all to death.
I think so too.
We did have a meeting of the senior center building committee on Wednesday, I believe it was.
Oh, this is epic.
So that we actually we held the meeting at the senior center. There was only a few of the committee that was able to actually make it, but the senior center is progressing extremely well considering COVID and delays in getting materials and everything else.
Next month, right? Are they expecting?
Yeah, possibly towards the end of next month.
Opening?
Huh?
Having it open?
I don't know how much open it'll be. I mean, but certainly there's a lot more area there, so they probably will be able to do some programming and do. We didn't really discuss that, at least while I was.
They've been pretty fortunate because the weather's been pretty good.
The weather has been very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to the subject of real estate, you were talking about rental, but the prices of homes, as everybody knows, has certainly skyrocketed. And I mean, the major thing I would think about is the fact that you got extremely low interest rates. And I guess, immigration from New York, at least into Western Connecticut. I don't know how much that's really affecting Eastern Connecticut, but it could be.
Yeah, I don't know
How long that's
those
gonna
interest
last.
rates- with the change of Washington, you don't know how long those interest rates.
You
are
almost
gonna
want to know, how much change do people want?
stay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hopefully-
From New York
hopefully
to Connecticut. If you go into Fairfield County, you're basically going to get the same thing. But if you go more inland, like around here, I think you're going to get that change. And I think that's why real estate has been zipping along.
Yeah. Interest rates are going to remain extremely low for the long term, as far as I'm concerned,
I would hope
because
so.
if I mean, the federal government is bankrupt. Okay, I don't think anybody with any common sense is going to dispute that. The numbers that are owed are beyond most people's imagination. I mean, it's hundreds of trillions of dollars, probably never can be paid. Standard of living is going to decrease.
Yeah.
So it's interest rates are going to stay very low.
I would hope so.
But well, that's not good for the majority of the retirees, because they're getting no income that they were counting on when they retired.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Oh well.
It's got a story about a road rage incident in Stafford.
Oh, Stafford.
Still.
That's way down the other end.
Let's see.
No, Stafford. Stafford's up this way. That's
It
north.
is.
That's north. I was thinking of Stratford.
Ooh, this guy looks. Ooh, God, he's got a machete.
Ooh. Wow.
Oh, some people. Let's see what this says. Guy's name is Stephen Kellner, 31 years old, out of Rockville. Let's see. Troop C received a complaint of an active disturbance on West Street in the town of Stafford. Upon arrival, officers determined. This is right from the state police. This is not.
Yep.
So you know if you can see, it's a PDF even. The above listed individual was in violation of the list of charges, which is operating a motor vehicle under suspension, possession of a weapon in the motor vehicle, which was the big knife, and
That's
breach
a
of peace.
knife.
That's a knife. As a result of the above listed, the individual was taken into custody and transported to Troop C. Upon arrival, the above listed individual was processed in accordance with state police procedures. The above listed individual was arrested on a $2,500 non-surety bond, which means he hasn't done nothing before, and he's got a court date. But
Wow.
didn't say anything about the road rage though, because that's what it was.
Wow.
Troopers respond to a road rage incident on West Street in Stafford. Stephen Kellner got arrested for multiple violations for road rage. You should see the knife. It's a machete.
Wow.
Why would you be carrying a machete?
Maybe he maybe he was cleaning up weeds. Who knows?
Because he couldn't get his concealed carry permit.
Yeah, he's waiting in line.
I guess not. Oh God. All right, boys.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, thanks for coming in for after breakfast today. Thanks for all that have come and gone. You can always review this by watching it back on our Facebook page, or of course on YouTube as well. And so it's the cool thing about this is that if people want to go back and see how dumb we sound or how smart we sound, you be the judge. You can go ahead and review it and skip along and do whatever you want.
And thank you, Cindy, for joining us again.
Yeah, and Cindy always brings in some good comments and adds a lot to the conversation because she's smart like that. She's smart like that. Well, plus we have a lot of conversations that she knows about, so which is good. So anyway, thank you very much, Jim. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you soon. And Paul.
Yep.
Oh, Paul's like, screw this. I'm out. He's taking his headphones off. He's gone. All right, we'll see you Monday once again right here on SNSN Internet Radio. Have a great weekend.
You buy better,
Better with Burns.
much better.
So much better with Burns. The right insurance at the right price. You buy better with Burns.
You buy better at Burns. You buy better.
It's a new season, and the Burns Agency wants to remind you of a few precautions you can take to keep safe this season. It's a great time to make sure your chimney is serviced before